Hi, today's good person to know is Ewan McIntosh. He's founder and CEO of NoTosh, and his talk was all about how to come up with great ideas and actually make them happen. Ewan started his talk by introducing us to Elon Musk, who's the founder of SpaceX, saying that in order for Elon to come up with his great ideas, he goes right back to the first principle of not trying to solve a problem, but to understand what the problem is to begin with. So how does one find a problem when they don't really know what the problem is they're trying to solve? Well, Ewan took 3D printers as a prime example and watched how one of his heroes asked his young students to investigate the usage of 3D printers. As a result of their findings, they were able to make a purple prosthetic hand for a young girl who was born without a left hand. And it was only due to these clear insights were they able to do this. Ewan said that there are three things that we must do, which he called the first, second and third horizon, but as you'll see in this video, it's not so straightforward because the horizons don't follow in sequence. To demonstrate this, Ewan spoke of his work at Nanjing International School in China, where he applied his own methodology to generate ideas and to action them. He applied the 5 whys to discover unknowns. Now I know this all sounds very mysterious, but actually it's a really clever way to come up with great ideas. So if you are seeking to find a great idea yourself, don't think about solving a problem, but rather look deeper into what's causing the problem to begin with, because only then may you discover unknowns. So I hope you enjoy this video. It's sponsored by Wildcrest Parks, one of the largest residential park home and holiday home operators in the UK. So thank you for watching.
Elon Musk put this rocket up into space. His kind of motto behind this project is that one day we all have to go to Mars. It's inevitable. This planet isn't going to survive. And I hear people like that and I think, this is crazy. Who thinks like that? But it's a way of thinking that allows people to start making their way in solving some of the more interesting problems that we have. Problem solving is part of coming up with great ideas. But even more important than that is finding problems. What does it take to find a problem? He would say that you have to take the problem you're working on and take it back to first principles. Take it back to find out what the real problem is. He doesn't believe that any problem is actually the problem you think it is. He believes that for every problem we see, there's actually another much more important problem. And if you can work out that core problem, now you're talking. Now you're going to come up with great ideas. He says that coming up with great ideas depends on finding the right problem in the first place. If you buy a 3D printer, what problem is it you're actually trying to solve? Well, there's one hero of mine called Chris Kraft. When he saw the 3D printers arriving in school, he really had no idea how to make use of this. So he did what any self-effacing teacher does. You go and you ask your experts, and in this case his experts were his students, grade 6 students. They discovered that there was a charity not too far away. What they asked was that if you had a 3D printer, you could maybe print some prosthesis for them, prosthetic hands, for example. So they did this, but they didn't just design one prosthetic hand or 2 prosthetic hands and send them off. They really wanted to understand who they were solving this problem for. They made prosthetic hands in school. They did it in their lunchtime, in their technology classes. They learnt the skills necessary to print a good prosthetic hand that actually moves and does stuff. But now they needed a user. They needed someone who they could concentrate on, someone whose story they could try to understand. And so they discovered Alyssa. She needed a hand. She had no left hand from birth. They went out of their way and they dug a little bit deeper and discovered all kinds of things. When they eventually made her hand, and it's purple incidentally because Alyssa's favourite colour is purple. So these students had insight, if you like, thanks to their teacher. The insight was that a 3D printer on its own is nothing. And the question, of course, is how do you get that insight? How do we glean it from everything around us? And really it's the key of how we come up with great ideas and actually make them happen. So there are three things we can do. How we might do innovation better, swifter, taking less time, costing less money. How could we not waste so much on things we don't want? The first horizon is a little bit like what these people are doing in the design centre. They're gathering their research, gathering their resources, going back out again to discover more, trying to work out, what is it that we could solve? What is the problem we are trying to find? Is above all about problem finding. The second phase is ironically not the second horizon. Actually, it's the third horizon. We jump future. We think about the future and consider, if this is the problem, what might a solution to that idea be? It's all about dreaming. When the destination is clear, actually the means to get there, that's down to other people. What we normally do is we might start with the first horizon. We might say we think we've got a problem in this area, but we don't always do the research particularly deeply. Then what we do is we invent every reason not to do the idea. We talk ourselves out of doing a brilliant idea because it's going to cost too much, it's going to take too much time. Really what we need to do is put the third horizon second and allow ourselves to dream a little bit earlier on in the process. So while research helps us understand the scope, it's not going to help us find the problem. Sketching is a beautiful way to see things. Everyone should keep an ideas wallet or a bugs list. I keep mine on my phone. So when I see a small thing, it might seem unimportant, but it's not working, I make a note of it now. The interesting things though is, where does all your stuff go? Now if you are just the sole one person coming up with the idea, then maybe your phone is enough. Maybe your laptop's enough to keep all those notes together. But if you're working in a team, suddenly even collaborative technologies become a bit of a holdback. And we talk about making a war room or a project nest because it's one way to make everything that you do physical. Let me take you to Nanjing in China, because I also want to show you how this works for a whole school strategy on technology, on learning. The challenge for the school is that because of this amazing growth in their city, then last year they came to me and they said, look, we think we need to do something to coordinate our efforts a little bit more. What could we do? So the first thing was saying, what is the problem we're trying to solve? I asked them to just go and photograph and post-it note and sketch everything in the school, as much as they could. And so we began to find problems everywhere. The post-it notes and the feedback and the comments were very precise. And so in this war room that we created, we had nearly 3,000 artifacts that we needed to make meaning from. That was great. We made meaning from them, we looked at them. They showed us what we knew, the known knowns, and they showed us what we needed to find out more about. We knew that we didn't know about some stuff, the known unknowns. But the problem is, we didn't know what we didn't know. And that's worrying. You start to think, look, if we're going to build just based on problems that need solved, how come we don't think about what we're missing out on? We introduced one more idea to help this school, and it's called the 5 Whys. The 5 Whys is about taking a problem and really drilling down like a 5-year-old. Just ask why 5 times. So you can count with me on this. The patient was late into theatre in a hospital. It caused a delay. Why? There was a long wait for the trolley. Why? Well, a replacement trolley had to be found. Why? The original trolley's rail was worn down, it had broken. Why? It hadn't been checked for wear. Why? Because we don't have a maintenance programme for things without screens. Once we discovered it, we're able to solve it. This is a real example of the 5 Whys in action from the NHS in England. When you do this, you've got your known knowns. We know that the patient arrived late. We've got our known unknowns. Why did they arrive late? Because the trolley was broken. But now we've discovered something that we didn't know before, an unknown unknown. We didn't even know that we didn't have a maintenance programme. How do we go beyond the simple stuff that we already know? So if you have your known knowns, known unknowns, and your unknown knowns, How do you apply this in a project? So the first thing we might do is just stick some post-it notes on the left-hand side and ask ourselves the question, what do we know about the problem we're trying to solve? And then we're going to pose ourselves a question called, how might we? Teachers tended to feel that in order to do a good job, they needed stuff. So they constantly bought stuff and then it laid unused. And so they said, these are three big problems. Taking that, we were able to jump into the third horizon. We were able to come up with some creative ideas. We just applied one more filter. And if you've got lots of problems and challenges and lots of opportunities, and you're struggling to spot which one to go for, then just start to map them out. What would you eliminate, first of all? Then, what are you going to raise the value of in your learning? What's most important to you? Is there anything you need to reduce? And then what are you going to create? And we went back to our unknown unknown. And here's what we discovered. So the second horizon. The second horizon is how you make that happen. I borrow this from politics. If you have an objective, the objective of climbing a mountain is get to the top. The strategy that you have to get there is to, before you go, pick the route you're going to take and make sure you've got a backup route if you need it. And the tactics, well, that's about knowing your friends. Who are the mountaineers going with you on this walk?
Now, we don't all have that eureka moment where something just lands mysteriously into our brains and we think, yes, that's the perfect idea. Sometimes we need to think more logically about it, and this seems like a really structured methodology to try and get that idea. So I hope you enjoy this video. Please subscribe to see more, and thank you for watching.